What's up, everybody? So we're going for the throat on the America today. We're going after we're discussing mass shootings with ChatGPT and like why they could occur. So that's a small bite. You know, I just kind of was sitting there thinking of like all the different like pieces to that puzzle, and I started realizing, holy shit, this makes sense. Like, why has no one put these pieces together before? And so I started exploring with it, and it's like, yeah, all these things, like, obviously, they lead to gun violence, you dumbass, is basically like what it said to me. Not really, but like, it was like, yes, all of these things could contribute. Are very likely to contribute. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's not very cool. We should call alarm to this, you know? You're right. My previous statement about was to focus on unregulated capitalism. In reality, even regulated capitalism can contribute to the world disparities and socioeconomic inequalities. Here's a revised version. And so I started having him write a YouTube video that like kind of explores the same thing because it was like talking like all kinds of like truths. So I was like, can you write this in the form of a YouTube video for me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Today we're going to dive into the complex and pressing issues, the factors contributing to U.S.-centric problem of mass shooting events. We'll discuss how inadequate access to healthcare, socioeconomic conditions, and easy access to firearms can create a combination that leads to tragic mass casualty events. Let's get started. Mass shootings are devastating and all too frequent occurrence in the United States. While tragic incidents do happen in other countries, the frequency and scale of these events in the U.S. are unparalleled. To understand why this is happening, we must examine the unique factors at play in American society. Let's first talk about access to healthcare. In the United States, healthcare is not universally available, and many people, particularly those in low socioeconomic groups, struggle to access both mental and physical health services. This lack of access can be exacerbated by existing mental health care issues. Leaving them untreated or poorly managed may increase the risk of violent behavior. Now let's discuss the impact on capitalism and socioeconomic conditions. Capitalism, even in its regulated form, can create significant wealth disparities and leave many individuals feeling marginalized and disenfranchised. Life-changing events and the stress caused by living in an unequal society can contribute to those feelings of powerlessness and frustration, which in turn lead to violent acts. Many people work tirelessly, giving it their all, only to find that they still struggle to make ends meet. This humiliation and soul-crushing reality of a full-time work yet unable to afford life's necessities can take a significant toll on the individual's mental and emotional well-being. When people reach that point, there's no hope for a better future, and their lives seem to revolve around working for corporations that prioritize profits over people. The sense of powerlessness can become overwhelming. This feeling of powerlessness is further exacerbated when individuals realize they need health care but can't afford it. The constant stress and anxiety that can result from these socioeconomic conditions can lead to a breaking point where people feel backed into a corner with no way out. Finally, we cannot ignore the issue of easy access to firearms in the United States. The accessibility enables individuals to act on their violent impulses and inflict significant harm in a short period. The combinations of inadequate healthcare, socioeconomic inequalities, and widespread availability of firearms creates a powder keg waiting to explode. So now how do we address the uniquely American problem? The solution requires a radical change to U.S. policies by implementing more accessible or equitable access to healthcare, addressing the root cause of socioeconomic inequality, and regulating firearms. We can begin to create a safer environment for all. It's essential to recognize that this issue cannot be solved overnight or with one single policy. It requires a comprehensive approach that addresses the systemic issues contributing to mass shootings in the United States. The lives of countless individuals and the well-being of communities depend on our ability to confront and change these factors that have led us to this crisis. Thank you for joining me on today at Bionic Writing Lab as we explore the factors contributing to the U.S. Problem of mass shooting events. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been sitting here talking about. It does, dude. It makes a lot of sense because like I can see some of the perspectives is what it's scary is like I'm like I said, I'm like I'm not a violent person, but like I'm literally I don't know like what I can do rationally anymore to like try to get myself out of a situation. And I was thinking I'm like I feel backed into a corner, but I have no like even if I like I'm not a violent person whatsoever. So I'm like what is there that is like a way of a like a flare that's like, hey guys, I see the issue. You guys are just not doing anything about it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I see like what would a rational person do instead of this is like what I'm doing right now, trying to be like, yo guys, here's the problem, you fucktards. Oh, fuck, man. Like I feel like it's the same like instinct that drives people to war and shit like that. Like they feel like their situation it can't get any worse, so fuck it. Like, you know? So like I got nothing else to like lose, so I'll lose everything in an attempt to make a change. And for most people it's literally pointless because it's a solo act of violence, which makes no goddamn sense because they're not thinking rationally. They need the mental health aspect. Sure, man. Perfect. What's up, Howard? Did Duck? Huh. That's kind of fun to say. Exactly. That's exactly it. Like it's like people tend to have they're gonna do self harm or they're gonna do harm to others. It really depends on what like how they view themselves, right? If they view themselves as having of being like, oh, I'm just one part of this small like thing, well then it relates to suicide. If they think of themselves as like I'm the thing it going like it really depends on like people's reflection of self. Like it comes down to almost philosophy. Like it almost boils down to whether you have like a feeling that like you are the sole thing in the universe and everything must like that because like there's like that what is it like I think therefore I am the only thing that you can like realize is true is that you are the only thing that you know is real in the universe, right? Like so it's like whether or not you realize you take that kind of approach to philosophy or whether you take the approach of like no everything is part like a more like humanistic approach, right? So I write memorandums for a job, and I started to use ChatGPT to get the gist of information and then go through and expand it and make accurate. Is that cheating or wrong, or am I considered using the tool I am given? For your job, I'd say fuck your job. Yeah, absolutely. Like use that shit to get every single thing you can in your job. Who gives a shit if it's cheating? It's your job. It's not like it's school. Like the only thing your job gives a shit about is that fact that you produce what you should produce, right? But um, whether it's moral, I mean, that I will leave completely. I'm a firefighter. Oh, pff, yeah. What is a memorandum? Well, I don't know what a memorandum is. Like that might dictate like what how I feel about it. I guess. And honestly, let me give you my actual take here before you even answer that, and that is, I think of ChatGPT as literally a tool. Um, yes, yeah, of course, yes. Extra, thank you for or nation, thank you for being the person that keeps me in check. But no, yeah, it's a tool, man. Like like literally, like everything that I started this conversation with in here, it literally just comes out as ideas, right? So if I write something, like I will write responses on Facebook. Let's just do that as a result. Or for you know what? Let's just take a news article, right? And I'll show you how I can use this to like actually write something that's completely unique. Like the things that gets checked for my thing is a simplified guide to a document that's essentially long. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Use ChatGPT for this. Never write another one of those again. Like give it like you could probably even like train a model on like what exactly needs to be in like how what makes a good memorandum. What they might even already have that. I don't really know. Um, and Yeah, never write. If you don't start doing this, somebody else will start doing this, and you will just be the last person that's not doing it. Um, all like basic writing stuff, like all things that are basically busy work, will be cut out as in the next like couple of years. So let me just grab like something that just makes me have like a random, or come up with something random. I don't really care. It could be like any type of any topic. I don't. It doesn't really matter. It really is, because like let me show you how I use it to write something completely unique. Because like the people that like the things that I write into ChatGPT, people have been asking me. They're like, "How did they're like you wrote this with ChatGPT? It comes up as being detected as 0% as 0% AI. It's all human writing." And I was like, "That's because it is human writing. I'm just telling it what I want it to write." Like for example, let's just go up in here, okay? Like this is how I started a discussion with it. What in human nature could seemingly break inside of their brains and allow them to commit such atrocities as a mass murder in a form of of senseless gun violence? And it goes on. Like that was the question. That's how I started the conversation. I'm like, okay, we're getting to the fucking root of the matter here, all right? And and so far, I've used ChatGPT to have conversations with geniuses and things like that. Like it's like here's one. Let's see if this is the no. Okay, this is a little bit more advanced. This one I went further. Describe the signs of backdraft and overflow. Flashover and how to regulate tactics to mitigate them. Apply slice RS concepts to the creation of mitigation. Okay, so I would say that right there. Oh, let me see what that comes up with. Actually, are you using Are you using GPT 3.5 or 4? Because I would say 4 is probably needed for such a request. Okay, so the way that you prompted it could lead to things like let's say what are they called? Oh fuck. Like inaccuracies, right? Okay. So I just use 3.5 because it's free and as I don't have that many more conversation things available left. Okay. So this comes up with all this stuff. Burning state of the backdraft occurs when the lack of oxygen in space has built up inflammable gases, and then suddenly there's no. So I don't know much about this topic, so I can't tell you whether or not it's accurate or not. However, let me do something that I let me take for example something that I can be accurate for. Um, Explain a how-to guide on guide for how to do a back handspring. So I know that there's some technical knowledge that like I know will be not accurate, right? I'm going to show you how I would use how I would use ChatGPT to answer the same question in a second. I'm going to show you what it comes up with first, okay? I want you to write a step-by-step guide on performing a back handspring, explaining each step in detail, such as bending at the hips, knees, and ankles, letting your body weight shift backwards, exploding and pushing through the toes, swinging those arms up by your ears, reaching up and back as you push through your legs. Okay, let me just see what that does. Towards your heels, exploding and pushing through your toes, exploding off the ground and pushing through your toes, sending your legs, propelling your body up. So this gets better results, right? If you notice, instead of just telling it, hey, tell me how to do a back handspring, I started to actually go through the steps with it, okay? So one thing that you can really do to get huge, like much more accurate information. So let's say you have to do those memorandums, right? Or memorandums, right? Are you doing these frequently? Okay, that's definitely not what you want to do. Tuck your chin is the opposite. Okay, so I would literally tell ChatGPT, like I would write one of them with ChatGPT, right? So I would tell it like write it like how you would normally write. So let's say maybe even like get tips from it first. How do I write a memorandum for being a firefighter? Exclamation point. Help me, I don't know what this is. Memorandum for a formal document used in business and government to convey information typically within an organization. In context for being a firefighter, a memorandum might be used to communicate important information such as policy changes or updates, training requirements, safety protocols. Opening heading, open statement, main content. Okay. Let us discuss the topic of backdraft and flashover and how to change tactics to mitigate them in this memorandum. Apply the slice-RS concept to the creation and mitigation of the backdraft/flashover conditions. Okay, now again, I don't know the accuracy of this. Okay. I'm writing it literally knowing nothing about it, so I am writing you to inform you that of the important topic of backdraft and flashover conditions and how to mitigate them. As a firefighter, we must always be aware of the risks involved in our job, taking the necessary precautions to ensure our safety and safety of those we serve. Backdraft and flashover are two dangerous fire conditions that can occur during firefighting operations. The backdraft occurs when oxygen is introduced to a room that has depleted oxygen levels. You know what would be better than me trying to come off with a random accent? Having it come off with a random accent.
I am writing to inform you about the important topic of backdraft and flashover conditions and how to mitigate them. As firefighters, we must always be aware of the risks involved in our job and take the necessary precautions to ensure our safety and the safety of those we serve.
You could tell me how, like, what if this is any, how the quality is on this.
That can occur during firefighting operations. A backdraft occurs when oxygen is introduced to a room that has depleted oxygen levels, causing a sudden and explosive increase in heat and flames. A flashover occurs when all combustible materials in a room ignite at the same time, causing a rapid and widespread fire. To mitigate the risk of backdraft and flashover, we must apply the SliceRS concept. This stands for size up, locate the fire, isolate the fire, cool the fire environment, extinguish the fire, rescue, and salvage.
Interesting. Yeah, see, I
Size
just
up.
learned, like,
Before
this is the
entering a
thing about
building, it
learning
is
with
essential to conduct
ChatGPT.
a thorough size up of the fire,
It's like, I have no
including the
idea what this stuff
location,
is.
extent, and potential hazards. This will help us determine the best course of action and avoid potential risks. Locate the fire. Once we have identified the location of the fire, we must ensure that we have a clear path to the fire and establish a safe and effective means of accessing it. Isolate the fire. It is important to isolate the fire by closing doors and windows to limit the oxygen supply and prevent the spread of flames. This will help reduce the risk of backdraft and flashover. Cool the fire environment. Applying water to the fire environment can help to reduce the temperature and limit the spread of flames.
Oh, that's what SliceRS is?
However,
Okay.
it is important. Applying the SliceRS concept, we can effectively mitigate the
Rescue and
risk
salvage.
of backdraft
Oh,
and
it's a
flashover conditions
acronym.
during
I see.
firefighting operations. I urge you all to familiarize yourselves with this concept and apply it in all firefighting situations. Stay safe, and thank you for your service. Sincerely, your name.
So how does that come out? Does that come off as a, like, sound like a memorandum? Like, does this have like a good, like, tone to it and whatnot as well? Because that's how I would then continue on. I would be like, ooh, I like this. Like, so, like, the thing that I've learned, like, the thing that I've really, like, kind of, like, started understanding within the past, like, literally week, is that you can use ChatGPT, like, talk to it like it's like your friend. Like, be like, yo, bro, I don't know why you did this. Can you, like, fix that, please? If there's something that you don't like, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think of, like, a way that I can. Can you make the memorandum more formalized? Make it seem more official. Also, I want it to be conversational in a sense while maintaining a formal and official tone. Sure, here's a more formalized version of the memorandum in a conversational tone. Greetings, firefighters. As you all know, our work as firefighters is crucial to the safety and well-being of our community. With this in mind, it is important that we always stay informed and vigilant about the risks involved in our line of work. In this memo, I would like to discuss the topic of backdraft and flashover conditions and how we may mitigate their potential hazards. Backdraft and flashover are two of the most dangerous situations that we can encounter in our line of work, and we must be always prepared to handle them. I don't know if this is any better or different for what you want, but it's different ways that you can utilize this. That's 9/10 of a memorandum. Well, there you go. You just tell it what that 1/10 of one is, and bam, there you go. You got it. And yeah, I know, I feel you with the acronyms at work. We literally have an entire, like, dictionary at work that it's like entire, like, it's a book that you have to, well, now it's a website, but whatever. You go onto it and you'd have to thumb through to find the fucking acronyms that you need. It's ridiculous, bro. Every company thinks that it's like, oh yeah, let's invent our own acronyms. It's awesome. It's like, no, man, you can just stop. That'd be great. But yeah, man, how else are you using ChatGPT? I've been literally using it for virtually everything at this point. It's craziness. It's there's, I don't see that there's like a use case or like a time in which you would write something that you wouldn't want to use it. It is like a calculator in my mind. It's like, oh, I want to express something through thought and through expression of myself. Well, I'm not myself, so how can I make this so that it is the most accurate representation of myself? Is really how I kind of think of. And I started using ChatGPT like an hour ago. Oh man, you are in for a fucking world of playing time, man. I will show you the crazy stuff I can do with this. ChatGPT, I want you to So I love using this voice to text add-on. It just makes it so much easier. ChatGPT, I want you to play the role of. Oh, absolutely. I've already done stuff. Not sessions because I've never played D&D, but I've had it like make characters as like examples for friends, like invent like backstories and stuff like that. And it's like stories that blow your fucking mind. It's insane. What was I gonna do? I want you to play role of what's his name? Of Socrates in a conversation. You shall play the role of Socrates, and I shall play the role of myself. That would be interesting. So yeah, there's lots of like. So that's the thing, man. Is there's so much out there that you could do with it, right? But like creating a business with it requires money. That's the stupid thing. And if you do something that's easy to do, then somebody's just gonna automate that thing. Like, because they already have like Auto GPT, which can automatically like just like everything you're gonna think of is probably gonna be done very rapidly and very soon. But like, yeah, because if it can be thought of, it's going to happen with it. Like, there's no way that our economy goes through this and comes out the other end the same way. It just doesn't happen. Sure, I'd love to play a role of Socrates in a conversation. What would you like to discuss? The nature of consciousness. Excellent choice. So let me tell you, what do you understand by the term consciousness? To me, consciousness is the something that occurs through the systems of information processing. When enough of the brain's systems can process information, comma, the result is consciousness. So now I have it basically playing the role of Socrates, right? So it's going to ask me questions. We're gonna debate in the Socratic method, right? We're going to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But I'm literally just having a conversation, essentially, with ChatGPT, which uses all of Socrates' work to be able to pretend it's Socrates. So, no big deal. But I'm essentially virtually having a conversation with, ancient philosopher. I know this is not really Socrates, but if you are playing the role of Socrates, how do I know you are Socrates? That's a good question. I'm an AI model. I'm not really Socrates, but I can certainly attempt to adapt the way of questioning to help us explore the nature of consciousness. Socrates was known for his... How can we know anything for certain, including whether or not consciousness can be reduced to a physical process in the brain? It is possible, therefore, that consciousness can just be interactions of neurons and synapses. What if consciousness is something that exists beyond the physical realm? Yeah, I don't really care about Elon, but and I wouldn't associate Neuralink with him. I would associate it with the people that are designing the Neuralink. And honestly, I would not consider Elon Musk even a part of that. But yes, I agree that we are in the literally on the verge of a completely I think that we are on the verge of setting humanity free, and by free I mean essentially being able to get us out of these meat husks of bodies. I think is like the long term. Like I don't know if I will live to see the day that we can do that, but I believe it is within the reachable future. Yeah, I know. Yeah, in my mind, I'm like the anti Elon stan. I'm like the like pitchfork with the for Elon, like thinking that he's just like a giant fucking the biggest scumbag in the world. So, um, like I really see no redeeming qualities in that man. I don't know. That's just my personal take, but anyways, yeah. So what else you been trying? Like, what are some other use cases you can even think about using that? Because I can blow your mind with like a bajillion different like things you can use it for, but like I'd rather help people like get do like actual like things that they're trying to do. Hold up one second. I'm gonna go grab some coffee. So I'll let you guys think about that for a second. Because I would. I'm just gonna make some coffee real fast. Finding a girlfriend that's not a loser. I'll once I figure that out, I'll let you know. Just kidding, Katie. Uh, honestly, that was funnily enough, that was actually one of my first thoughts of using ChatGPT. Was like, oh my god, this is going to be used to manipulate people, and this is terrible. Um, because like literally, like you could, I think that it's not quite. Maybe GPT-4 is ready for that. GPT 3.5 is not. To be able to be like, hey, you like give it an intricate like a situation, like the fact that you're trying to like flirt with somebody and like write messages back and forth like that is something that like, it could do, but like you only get like 20 messages per hour, so like good luck with that. um because you could totally set up like because you could I could set up and like give ChatGPT like a page long information explaining who this person is, blah 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 blah, what they look like, blah blah blah, all this other stuff, and be like, how would I like how they seem materialistic or not, or like you could just like literally write out everything about this person, or like give it pictures and have and like use AI to like figure out based off of pictures what they think that the person is interested in or whatever, blah blah blah. You could do. I mean, sure that there's a way that you could do this, right? I don't know how, but 100%. But like those are some ideas there. It's like you take those pictures to like find commonalities or like um, he asked how does he find AI to find a girl that's not girlfriend that's not a loser. And I was just describing how that was actually one of like the thoughts that I saw that like as I like first heard about ChatGPT is like holy crap, people are going to use this to manipulate each other, like via text and stuff like that, or like Tinder or something. Like, like somebody writes like a perfect bio with like above my pay grade. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you could totally use like because I don't know if it's ChatGPT that you can use the API to like send pictures and it will send a visual like it'll describe what's happening on the picture and then like give you it back. I don't know what platform that is, but there is a way of doing that. And so you could like analyze the picture, right? And then have like ChatGPT take those like analyses and then like come up with conclusions based on them, on like how you should present yourself or whatever. God, I could totally see people doing that though. Okay, my coffee's done. Let me just grab it real fast. Social skills are going to be going to the sub-negative zone because they're already in the negative. Well, exactly what I was just thinking. Is like, I'm pretty sure I just wrote the plot to Aladdin, except for instead of the genie, it was ChatGPT. Um, right. I mean, that's all it is. Like that's literally what you know. I use that analogy all the time because it is so good. ChatGPT is like a really dumb genie. Like it will give you whatever the hell you want, what you ask it for, right? It might not give you it very well, but it will try giving you what you ask for. You just have to know how to ask it. If you can ask for it in words, it can try to give it to you in words. But yes, if all you do is receive, then how will you learn to give? Are you coming on to me? No, it was perfect, Simon. Uh, anyways, I don't understand exactly what you mean though. If you all you do is how do you receive, then how will you learn to give? Give what? Right. It's like using a calculator. So I agree there. You're talking about like how do you learn to can't add or multiply yourself. True. Well, let's think there. Cuz I understand what you're saying, but at the same time so I could see what you mean, right? So think of it as like, and I wrote this in another video of mine. Think of AI as a really underpaid, uh, dumb kind of intern, but you have to describe exactly what you want. That's just dumb. You'll dumb you down in the long run. Basically, all of Gen Z. Well, I just yeah, that's where I disagree. Is that it dumbs you down over in the long term, right? So instead of working it out yourself in the long term, instead, not only do I make it shorter, but in making it shorter, I also have now written out the process, right, of making it shorter. And that process in which I gave it can be utilized elsewhere. So, for example, that's why I save most of the prompts that I write. Does that make sense? So, if I do something and I have it write an essay, let's say, I'm going to be going through and I'm going to be creating that essay, right? So, if I was in school right now, I would not be using this to cheat as much as I would be using this to learn better. Um, yes, but it's like knowing the formula and just plugging the numbers. Exactly. Exactly. That if you get errors, refresh the page. If you keep on getting errors, sign out, sign back in. If you keep on getting errors after that, clear your cache or your browsing data. Oh, Katie, I have to go in like 10 minutes. I have an appointment on the computer. I forgot about it. I didn't realize it was 10 o'clock already. Yes. Okay, guys. I actually do have to go. I completely forgot that it was already this late in the morning. I have an appointment that I have to get to, but I will be back on probably afterwards. I'll catch everybody later. Have a good one.